Have you ever seen a company post these amazing record-breaking profits, only to watch its stock just completely tank a few months later? It's baffling, right? Well, in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on a company's true financial health. We're talking about a metric that cuts through all the accounting noise and shows you what's really happening with the cash. So let's just dive right in with a question that trips up a lot of people, even seasoned investors. Is it possible for a company that's apparently swimming in profits, we're talking billions, to actually go bankrupt? The answer, and this might surprise you, is a loud and clear yes. How is that even possible? How does a company go from being a Wall Street darling one minute to a total financial disaster the next? Well, it all comes down to what I like to call the profit illusion. And believe me, it is a very seductive but very dangerous trap. Okay, this slide right here, this gets to the absolute heart of the matter. On one side, you've got accounting profit, or net income. The best way to think about this is that it's an opinion. It's a number that's shaped by all these complex accounting rules and estimations. But on the other side, you have free cash flow. And that's a fact. It is the cold, hard cash a company has left. And as you're about to see, the gap between that opinion and that fact can mean everything. So look, if we can't always trust the profit number that's splashed all over the headlines, what can we trust? What's the one number that gives us a truly unfiltered look at how a company is doing? The answer is a really simple but incredibly powerful metric called free cash flow. Let's make this personal for a second. Your salary, that's like a company's revenue. Now your rent, your groceries, all your bills, those are its operating expenses. Whatever you have left at the end of the month, that's your personal free cash flow. It's the money you can use to save, to invest, maybe go on a nice vacation. Well, free cash flow is pretty much the exact same thing for a company. It's the cash left over after all the essential bills are paid. And here's the really great part. You don't need some advanced degree in finance to figure this out. It's basically a two-step process. First, you start with the cash the company brings in from its core business, its day-to-day operations. Then, you just subtract the money it has to spend on big-ticket items to keep the lights on and grow. Stuff like new factories or equipment. And what's left? That's it. That's the free cash flow, the true measure of a company's financial strength. And this, right here, is why you, as an investor, should be obsessed with free cash flow. It's the fuel that powers literally everything you care about. We're talking juicy dividends paid out to you, stock buybacks that make your shares more valuable, paying down debt, funding cool new projects, and, maybe most importantly, having the strength to get through a tough economic downturn. All right, but just when you think you've got it all figured out, the world of finance tends to throw a little curveball. Turns out there are actually two different flavors of free cash flow. And yeah, understanding the difference between them is absolutely crucial if you're serious about this. The easiest way to think about this is to picture a pizza. Free cash flow to the firm, or FCFF, that's the whole pizza. It's the total cash available to everybody with a claim on the company, the banks, the bondholders, and the shareholders. Now, free cash flow to equity, FCFE, that's what's left over for shareholders after the debt holders, like the banks, have taken their slices. It's the part of the pizza that belongs just to the owners. Okay, so this is where we really start to separate the amateurs from the pros. See, it's not enough to just find the number. You have to know how to read the number, to understand the story it's telling you, because when it comes to finance, context is everything. Think of this matrix as your secret decoder ring for cash flow. So let's break it down. Positive and growing free cash flow? That's the gold standard. It's a fantastic sign of a healthy, well-run company. But here's where it gets really interesting. A negative number isn't always bad. If a company is spending a ton on CapEx, it might just mean they're investing aggressively in their future. The real red flag, the one you gotta watch out for, is when cash flow is negative because the core business itself is struggling. That's a huge distress signal. But, and this is a big but, here's the dark side. As with any powerful tool, free cash flow can be twisted. It can be manipulated. And in the high-stakes game of corporate finance, believe me, the temptation to fudge the numbers can be pretty overwhelming. It's a deceptively simple accounting trick, but it is a deadly one. It's a trick that can make a dying company look like a superstar overnight. And it's the very trick that was at the center of one of the biggest, most destructive corporate frauds in modern history. So picture this. The year is 1999. The dot-com bubble is in full swing. And right in the middle of it all is this telecom giant called WorldCom that just seems to be unstoppable. But behind the scenes, something was very, very wrong. A massive fraud was unfolding that would eventually bring the entire company crashing down. So what were they doing? In plain English, they were cooking the books. They were taking one of their biggest everyday expenses and pretending it was a long-term investment. It was a massive lie that fooled almost everyone, from the smartest analysts on Wall Street all the way down to regular individual investors. And when the truth finally came out, it was an absolute catastrophe. So after all that, what have we learned? What's the one big lesson you should really take away from this deep dive into the world of free cash flow? Here it is. Free cash flow is an incredibly powerful tool. You might even call it the truth teller of finance. But it is not a magic bullet. It only tells you the truth if you are willing to do the work, to dig a little deeper, and to ask the tough questions about where that cash is really coming from. So, I'll leave you with a question. The next time you see a company's big headline profit number, don't just stop there. Go deeper. Find that cash flow statement and ask yourself, what is the real story here? Because in the world of investing, the truth is often hiding in plain sight. You just have to know where to look.